So, you know me, I'm Skips. I've been around the park forever, seen a lot of crazy stuff. But what if I told you that all those messes Mordecai and Rigby made weren't just messes? What if they were all connected to this cosmic war that I've been watching for a long, long time? Think about it. Every time things went completely off the rails, was it really just two slackers goofing off? Or was it more like a ghost? A ghost of a universe that got wiped out and then rebuilt over and over again. I've seen it happen. The truth is, Mordecai and Rigby weren't just groundskeepers, they were trapped, stuck in this loop of total destruction and rebirth that they could never, ever remember. That's the world I lived in, the pattern I saw for centuries, hidden underneath all the jokes and the chores. And it means the lives of those two, my friends, were never really their own. They were just one version out of billions of failed attempts, doomed right from the start. Look, on a normal day, it was just two dudes trying to dodge work. A simple job like setting up some chairs could somehow tear a hole in reality. I was always the guy who had to patch things up. And yeah, it was funny how fast things would escalate. A tiny problem would turn into a cosmic emergency. And then the next day, it was like it never even happened. The park was destroyed and rebuilt so many times it was practically a running gag, but I wasn't laughing. Because, you know my catchphrase? Now, I've seen this before. It was a sign of a really fragile universe, one that basically had a reset button built into it. It took me a long, long time to figure it out, but the ones holding their thumbs over that button were Pops and his brother Anti-Pops. As we all found out in the end, Pops was this being of pure good, and his brother Anti-Pops was pure evil. I always knew there was something more to Pops, but I never guessed it was that. For eons, they were fated to fight every 14 billion years, with the fate of everything on the line. Pops fought to save it all. Anti-Pops fought to erase it all. But their powers were a perfect match. A total cosmic stalemate. I saw it myself on their home planet, Lolliland, in their Hall of Tapestries. It showed their battle happening again and again and again for billions of years. And every single time it was a draw. Their final punches would hit each other with so much force that they didn't just break the universe, they erased it, and then it would reboot. A whole new timeline would kick off, with new versions of everyone, with no memory of the cycles that came before. The show confirmed it. The battles have always ended in a draw, which triggers a universal reset. This whole cycle was the engine driving reality. Mordecai and Rigby's lives, their friendships, everything. It was all just one draft in a giant book of forgotten worlds. Once you know about this whole universal reset thing, all the chaos at the park starts to make a different kind of sense. It starts to look like the symptoms of a broken reality, one I've been trying to hold together for centuries. The universe was brittle, like it had been shattered and glued back together one too many times. I'd seen the signs before. A game of rock, paper, scissors ripped open a black hole. A quest for a grilled cheese sandwich turned into a battle with antimatter. These weren't just random gags. They were signs that the laws of physics were basically falling apart. All that massive property damage was forgotten by the next episode because, hey, in a universe that gets wiped and rebooted, what's one more trashed park? The timeline itself was glitchy. The Timonado, a tornado that literally rips through space and time, showed up more than once. The entire movie was kicked off by one of those things threatening to unravel everything. These weren't just random events, they were the side effects of a universe that was broken and rebooted so many times that its very structure was starting to fail. But the biggest clue of all came in the final battle. After Pops and Anti-Pops landed their universe-ending blow, reality collapsed, and then it started over. The day started to repeat right from the very first episode, The Power. It really looked like the cycle had won again, but this time was different. Rigby stopped and said, "Wait a minute. I think we've done this before." The reset wasn't perfect. So what was the difference? The park crew had made Blu-ray discs of all their adventures. After the reset, Rigby found them. Watching those discs is what let him and Mordecai remember their previous life, the battle, and Pops. This imperfect reset, this one memory that managed to survive, is what finally gave them a real shot at breaking the loop. The fact that memories could survive at all proved the cycle was never a completely fresh start. It always left something behind. So you gotta wonder, what does it do to a person to live and die over and over and not even know it? I watched them. The trauma from countless apocalypses left scars, even if they couldn't remember why. It's like having a nightmare you can't quite recall, but the shaken feeling sticks with you all day. My friends were surrounded by the echoes of their own destruction, and on some level they could feel it. Rigby's déjà vu was the clearest evidence, but the signs were always there. When Mordecai and Rigby had to face down some cosmic horror, their fear always felt practiced. Sure, they'd get scared, but they'd also just get annoyed, like an apocalypse was just another annoying chore. That wasn't just them being slackers. On a subconscious level, I've seen it before. Their casual reaction to world-ending disasters was a kind of defense mechanism, one they'd built up over lifetimes of forgotten horror. It was like watching a doctor in an emergency room who stays completely calm because, to them, it's just another Tuesday. And to think about the artifacts that triggered everything. In the finale, those Blu-rays were the key that unlocked memories that shouldn't have even existed. But there were other moments, too, where they just seemed to know things they shouldn't have. I'm always saying I've seen this before because I'm immortal. But if this theory is right, then in a way, they all had too. They didn't have the clear memories, but the shadows of those past lives were always flickering in the back of their minds. It just adds this layer of dread to their lives. Their whole reality was just a stage, and they were the main actors who didn't know it, reading from a script that had been rewritten billions of times. Every lesson they learned, every bit of personal growth just got erased. Mordecai's heartbreaks, Rigby's attempts to finally get his act together, it all felt real. But in the grand scheme of things, it was all temporary. Their lives weren't really theirs. They were just a recurring dream happening in the mind of the universe. Kind of changes how you look at the whole show, right? It's not just a comedy, it's a tragedy that I had to watch unfold for centuries. Before I get to how it all finally ended, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. The community here loves digging into theories just like this one. Join us and drop a comment below and let me know what you think. Did Benson or anyone else show signs of remembering past loops? I read all of them. All right. So this whole reset thing brings up a big question. Did Mordecai and Rigby have any free will? Or were they just puppets in this whole thing? The prophecy about Pops and his brother's battle created a world where fate seemed set in stone. Their fight was destined to happen, and it was destined to end with a universal reset. It sort of suggested that no matter what anybody did, the outcome was always going to be total annihilation and a fresh start. On Lolliland, I even saw a tapestry that showed Mordecai asking, "Everything?" when he was told it had all happened before. His very surprise was pre-scripted. It's a pretty dark thought, right? That choice is just an illusion. But the show actually gives us a better answer than that. While the final battle itself might have been inevitable, the path to get there wasn't. Those same tapestries also showed battles where Mordecai and Rigby weren't even there. That implies that in some timelines, their choices led them down a completely different path. The grand finale was fated, sure, but their journey was shaped by their own will. Their actions mattered. What, in fact, their choices are what made that final loop-breaking timeline possible in the first place. They were the ones who finally broke the stalemate. In every other cycle I had seen or heard about, the fight was just between Pops and Anti-Pops, and it always ended in the same universe-destroying clash. But in this timeline, Mordecai and Rigby refused to just stand on the sidelines. After remembering the last loop from watching the Blu-rays, they used the power to get back into the fight. their arrival, their friendship. That's what gave Pops the strength he needed to do something different. And this is the most important point. Free will isn't about avoiding your destiny. It's about having the power to change how it ends. For billions of years, every single path led to the exact same ending. But in this one last loop, the combination of friendship, memory, and sacrifice forged a brand new path. Mordecai and Rigby's choices were the one key that could finally open a lock that had been sealed since the beginning of time. They weren't doomed to just repeat their mistakes. They were destined to be the ones who finally learned from them. So when you think about it, this whole endless reset idea turns regular show from just a comedy about slackers into this epic story of struggle. Mordecai and Rigby weren't just lazy, they were cosmic prisoners, living the same life over and over, their progress stolen away by a universe that demanded perfect balance. Their story is a tragedy I watched for ages, where every single day was just the start of another doomed timeline. But it's also a story of hope. The cycle wasn't broken by some big cosmic weapon, but by an act of love and Pops' sacrifice. He realized that another tie would just keep the loop going, so he made a different choice. Instead of punching Anti-Pops, he hugged him. He turned their eternal war into an embrace, neutralizing his brother's evil power just long enough to fly them both directly into the sun. He sacrificed himself to end the war for good, and that act didn't reset the universe. It saved it. Everyone who had been erased by Anti-Pops came back, and for the first time in eons, the future was finally unwritten. The final montage shows us that future. Mordecai becomes an artist. Rigby marries Eileen, and they all get to grow old and live real, meaningful lives. It's a bittersweet but beautiful ending, earned through billions of years of forgotten failures. In the afterlife, Pops watches a tape labeled Regular Show, finally getting to see his friends live the lives they were always supposed to have. The chaos of their youth was a lot like the universal cycles of failure and reset that we all go through. We mess up, we learn, we try again, and we keep going until we finally get it right. My friends were doomed from the start, but they were also the ones destined to finally break free. And with that one sacrifice, Regular Show leaves us with a powerful message. Even in a universe that seems completely defined by absurdity, one heartfelt choice can break the cycle forever. And it looks like the story isn't over. A new Regular Show series is in development with creator J.G. Quintel returning. While details are still pretty mysterious, some reports suggest it might be titled Regular Show: The Lost Tapes. There's talk that it could premiere sometime in 2026, though that could change. But the Lost Tapes title really fits perfectly with this whole theory of forgotten timelines, doesn't it?